guys, today we're here with my client Sarah, and I'm so excited because we haven't colored her hair for almost 10 months, which is pretty cool that it still looks great. But we're gonna brighten it up. But the other thing we're gonna do is, you can see here she's gotten her hair cut and it's done really well, but it's a really blunt cut, and so the curls aren't holding. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in and layer it and bring some more life to it, some more movement, so that one, you're gonna see her color so much more. She's gonna be able to curl it and have it more movement to it, and two, it's just not gonna feel so heavy and weighed down. So I'm really excited to get into it. I'm gonna show you everything I'm gonna be doing. I'm actually gonna be cutting first so that I can cut the shape into it and see exactly where I'm gonna put the color. So let's get to it.
But before I show you exactly how I created this amazing look, go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit that bell to be reminded about my new videos that are coming at you every Monday.
Okay, so I'm gonna be starting in the back, and I'm actually going to take a triangle type section. So I'm going in and starting like this. And what I'm gonna do is I wanna create really light flowy layers. So I'm gonna be doing point cutting the whole way through. And so you can see here, I have a triangle shape. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find where I want the layers to fall. I don't want them too short, but I do want them to flow really well. So I'm gonna start here, and I'm just gonna go in and point cut this section.
Now, I know this might be hard for some of you to watch, but I really, really love point cutting. I don't do a lot of straight cuts because I like a lot of texture in the hair. I like a lot of movement. So you can see I'm chipping quite deep in there to create a lot of texture.
And then I go in and I texturize it like this. And I just take little tiny snips where I can feel the bulk. A lot of the way I cut is based on feeling and looking at the hair rather than technical. So then I'm going to take the next section. So I'm going to go and pick up the next section, bring it up. This is a really quick way to do layers that looks amazing. Okay, so here you can see like way more movement already, but you can still see where there's heaviness down there. So now I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna do vertical sections, just marrying the layers together. So you can see here where those first layers that I've done are, and then where it gets heavy, I'm just gonna go in and take out that corner so that we can create that nice movement all the way to the ends.
So I love seeing here, you can already tell how much better her hair moves and flows, and I'm going to be able to tell exactly where to put the highlights. So here, if you want to know exactly how to mix your clay lightener, go ahead and check out this video that I have all about how to mix your clay lightener for max lift and better application.
All right, so for starters, the one thing that I really love to have is the Framar backwards bibs, because that way your capes stay nice and clean, got their clips. I'm gonna start in the back. The only reason why I start, well, not the only, but one of the big reasons is if something goes wrong, which I've had a heat reaction happen before on a client's hair, you know, it's a lot easier to rinse this out if damage happens here. But that being said, because hair painting, you can't move around once it's done, I start in the back, and then when I get to the front, I can lay things off her face so that it's not in her face. But I always do triangle inspired sections. So you can see here there's kind of a corner here in her hairline. I'm gonna go this way, and what I wanna do is I wanna create a look for Sarah that's brightened up, but it doesn't look unrealistic. It looks like maybe she went and spent the summer somewhere hot on the beach. So I want it to have a statement without looking false. I want believable looking color. And that means having it in her ponytail brighten up with a little bit of rootedness. So what I'm going to do here is hold it really tight. Tension, elevation, and pressure are really, really important. I want to hold it tight. I have it flat on the side of on each side of the brush. I'm going to use the flat side of the brush to apply. And lots of tension there, so you can see that I can get good amount of pressure. And then I'm just going to blend it out. And what I'm doing is, instead of going lighter handed, I just wait till all the product's off the brush and I kind of smudge it in. So you can see the blend forming right on the strand of hair there. say the other thing I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna flip to the other side of her hair and I'm gonna get the underneath, but I'm not gonna go up as high because I wanna have some depth in here, kind of like a natural low light. So if you think of the sun hitting her hair, the sun would get, if it was in a ponytail, the sun would hit it here, but it wouldn't hit internally. But if the ends were in a ponytail, all of these would get hit by the sun. So you can see there, going in here, mushing it around, and that's how I'm gonna kind of go through the rest of her hair, bricklaying. So I like to keep things, I don't want complete symmetry, because I want it to look like everything just falls in the hair by accident. So I do balanced but not symmetrical. So I'm going to take a similar type section on the other side. It doesn't need to be perfect. So if you're a perfectionist, this is going to be a big struggle. But if you're someone who likes to take things by inspiration, then you're going to have the best time ever. So I'm going to take another triangle inspired section over here. I'm going to do the exact same thing. And then next we're going to go on to how to make sure that when we get to this area you can still keep that rooted look. Okay, so then when we get into this really deep U and V section, remember it doesn't have to be perfect partings, but then I want to start going in at perpendicular placements. I'm going to kind of go in at 45-degree angles, and that way when we get up to here you'll see that we're left with the perfect piece to create that rooted look. Okay, so this is what I've got left, and this is where a lot of hairstylists get confused. They don't know what next section to take. So I've kept this really deep U. I'm going to go once again at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to take this section and apply. So then this next section, because I went this way, I'm going to go perpendicular to that. And then we're going to be left with this really awesome top section. So you can see if this is going to be the last section here, if you're kind of looking at it from above, you can see I can go pretty high up on this highlight that I'm going to put in, because this one laying over top is going to create that shadow and rooted look. So you'll watch me apply to this section here first, and then this one I'm going to drop down. So you see I'll continue to make this U shape. So this highlight goes here, which shows me that this one can go here, which means this last one is going to go here, and I'll show you that right away here. So you can see here that we're creating that, we're keeping with that consistent U shape from the lightener. So you can see the top right there, it goes down with these other highlights. So when I come to this one, the classic mistake that I see happen is hairstylists put the highlight up really here, up high here, and that doesn't create that rooted look, and it doesn't give you much room to go brighter in the front and create that consistent U. So I want to follow these lines and where they're directing me. So you can see here for this section, I'm going to put it down lower, and it feels weird and it feels awkward, but it's going to look so good because these ones will still peek out and be high up. So I'm just going to hold this there with tension, and I can see right there. I can bring this into the existing U shape to create a perfect rooted look. And it's not going to be too low down. I want you to know that, because we've still got lots of room to move up in the front, and what frames the face is what's most important. This is going to give such a beautiful look at the end of a nice rooted, natural looking balayage. There you go. So I'm going to show you how to do the perfect hairline. So what's really important, you can see this is her natural highlights there, that's what I want to mimic, but just a little bit punchier. So the most important thing is I want to keep the hair off her face. I have definitely in the past accidentally highlighted eyebrows. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. So I'm going to angle from the corner here back. And the reason for that is because then as I put the lightener on, I can place it off her face rather than on her face, which is going to make the client experience so much more comfortable, which is going to make them coming back to you and have lifelong raving fans of your clients. So I want you to hold this piece here, and don't worry about these little hairs. We're going to get to them in a second. So I'm going to go flat side of the brush, apply the lightener, here. And then once my brush has most of it off, I'm just gonna move along and bring those baby hairs up into it. Those baby hairs lighten really quickly anyway, so they don't need a lot of product on them. But now you can see as when she goes to pull her hair up in a ponytail, again, I can keep it a little bit more shadowed, go nice and high up around the hairline, a little bit more shadowed internally where the sun wouldn't hit it, and then fully opaque, lay it on thick in here to get max lift on this part of the hair. Okay, so next section here, this is really important, is I want to make sure that there's kind of like these two hairlines. There's like a hidden hairline because there's always all these baby hairs. So I'm going to go in, once again, kind of perpendicular, and I'm going to go in right where her hair is kind of parting itself and take the next section. The last thing I want you to do is over highlight the sides, because the sides, we've got ears, so our hairline comes up. We don't have to do as many highlights on the sides to still get the same impact. It's more about where the highlights are as opposed to how many. So once again, tension, elevation, and pressure. I have good tension. I don't want to hurt her. Am I hurting you? Okay. And I want to hold it 90 degrees so that I can get this side of the triangle as well as right around here. This is the most important because when she pulls her hair back, I don't want to see any darkness. So next I want to make sure that I go into this area, so cutting it perpendicular up to the part. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this money piece so it really pops. So what I see happen a lot is people apply the money piece either just on the hairline, and then when the hair falls forward you don't see it, or they only apply it on the part line and when you pull it back you don't see it. And I'm going to show you a trick right now so that you can see it either way. So I'm going to apply on the part line, but then I'm going to come up and move this over so that you can see. I'm going to just bring the camera over here. So that you'll see, right, we'll get the highlight on here as well as on here, which you can't do with the same with foils. I'm not being scared. I'm leaving about ½ an inch of room for that blend, but I'm bringing the blend quite close to the root. And then before I get too far down the strand, this is where I flip it over and I apply on this side. And I go quite high up here, and then as you can see, I taper it back, start angling it back where the darkness would start to show up in her hair. Making sure it's nice and opaque. I know people often play it safe not applying enough lightener, but just put it on really thick and you're gonna get a nice pop of color around the front of the face. And then next, I'll show you my trick for making sure that this piece doesn't just get blended in with other highlights. Like in the back where we left that last piece to lay over, that's what I want you to do here. Is I don't want you to apply high up right close to it, because what this money piece, I hate calling it that, what this front pop piece needs beside it is contrast in order for it to pop. So when you put a bright highlight right next to it, it's kind of like putting a white piece of paper beside an off-white piece of paper. You can see the difference, but if you put a white piece of paper next to a black piece of paper, the white paper is going to look that much brighter as opposed to just being next to an off-white or a gray. So we want the more contrast, the better. So what I want to do with this section here is I'm going to actually leave this one out. I'm going to apply a highlight on here, and then I'll show you with this last piece what we're going to do with it. So with this last piece, once again, like I said, you can see over here I've already done it this way where I applied a little bit on the top corner, but I left a lot of depth so that you can see that when we finish highlighting it, it's going to pop right here, but there's going to be depth. So it's going to be nice and bright around her face with some nice dimension to it. So I want to bring this piece here. I want it to blend in. I want it to look natural and believable. So I'm going to keep a little bit of lightness to kind of go with that line that's already there, and then bring this down. So there's lots of dark next to this bright piece right here.
Next, onto my favorite part about this is that because we've created that blend on the strand of hair, we only need one toner. Yep, no shadow root here because the blend is actually created by the way we applied the lightener. Dang, isn't that amazing? No shadow root at all. That is all created with the technique, which saves you time at the sink and money in product. I'm so in love with this result. So make sure to go check out my other videos. You can see Sarah's hair looks amazing before and after. Check out these videos if you love this one. Hit that subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you thought about this video and if you'll try this on one of your clients soon.